Okay, so we're checking out another portable power station. This one is from a company called VTOMAN, and this one's called the Jump 1500, as you can see here. And this is a pretty big one, 1548 watt hours of capacity, and a 1500 watt inverter on here for the 3 AC outlets. 1500 watts bursting to 3000 watts. Yeah, so this one's pretty beefy. Has lithium iron phosphate cells in this one, so those are the ones that have a little bit longer lifespan and also are safer than standard lithium cells. Get a bunch of stickers here. So this is their company. Get this bag that comes with the power station with a bunch of stuff in here. So you get a manual. There's a little support card behind there for contacting the company for warranty support. This one charges up via AC via this external brick. So this one here is 24 volts at 7.5 amps, 180 watts power, and it plugs in via this barrel connector here. I think it's a 5525 size barrel connector for the input here, 12 to 30 volts, and you have two of these. And what's interesting about this one, it's kind of different compared to some of the other power stations with the two inputs here is if you get their solar panel with these barrel connectors, it actually has a dual input solar charge controller from these two inputs here. So you can actually connect up two of their 100 watt foldable solar panels for 200 watts of recharging in the sun. And with the 180 watt adapter here, it takes about 8 to 9 hours. So imagine if you're getting full output on the 200 watt panels at 200 watts, it's probably similar, about 8 to 9 hours of charging. And 1548 watt hours is a lot of capacity. So that's pretty reasonable for this one. I haven't seen anything like this in terms of a dual input on the solar charge controller. You do get a cigarette lighter connector here for if you want to charge it up via your car, and it does come with the barrel connection on that side. And then this one is another unique feature. See these jumper cables here for your car battery. So if you have a dead car battery for whatever reason, plug this into this special port over here where it says jumper cable. Plug that in, attach the alligator clips to your battery, and you can jumpstart your car with this power station. So it's pretty cool. There's another flap here for another door, and this is another connector which you can connect to an expansion battery. So they do sell another battery. I think it's 1548 watt hours as well, about the same size as this one, pretty big. But if you want to have double the capacity in terms of energy, you can do that and just attach a cable to here, and you have double the capacity of just the single power station. And by the way, this is I think their largest unit at the Jump 1500. There's if you go to the Amazon link, there'll be the Jump 1000, which is a 1000 watt inverter bursting to 2000 watts. It's a little bit lower capacity, so a little bit smaller, I think, and lighter, about 1408 in terms of watt hours. Now, it's a little bit less. I think it's about 150 watt hours less than this one, but the price is pretty good for that one as well. So this one's coming in at $15.99 with a $600 coupon. So basically it's $1,000 for this one. So a pretty good deal considering the battery chemistry and the watt hour capacity. The Jump 1000, so it does have a smaller inverter, so keep that in mind, with a little bit, only 150 watt hours less of capacity. I think it's coming in at $1,300 with the same $600 coupon, so it's about $700 for that one. So that's a pretty good value for if you're looking for a larger capacity power station. If you have a lot more in terms of needs, devices and stuff you want to charge up. But if you are looking for high capacity appliances, like microwaves, full-size refrigerators, etc., you might want to go with the 1500 watt inverter on this one, because it's going to you can plug in multiple devices and power them up. This is obviously you can use these for camping and RVing, van life, etc. But I think this is going to be something of this capacity, especially if you can get the expansion battery, probably for emergency preparedness. If you have a long power outage, you know, these days with the power grid being kind of unreliable, these kind of things are really going to be coming handy when you really need some power, and a lot of your higher power devices are going to need the larger inverter in this case. So in terms of the power station itself here, pretty standard, you know, box basically. We have a solar charge controller inside here, and then you have the inverter for the AC output. You got a little indentation here on top. You can put some stuff in here, you know, maybe lay your phone if you want to charge it up. You got your handle for carrying it around, which you're definitely going to need. There's an LED light, of course, on the back, which you can press the button to go through the different light levels and strobe, etc. Pretty standard in a lot of these power stations. And on each side, you've got air vents, of course, for cooling and for the fans. Again, as I mentioned before, 2 DC inputs here. You have a couple DC outputs here on these same barrel plugs, 12 volts at 10 amps, and your cigarette lighter output here. And then you have your buttons for your different sections, DC, USB here, and AC. Now the USB-C output here, you have 2 USB-C output power delivery, 100 watts each. So if you want to charge up a bunch of stuff, USB-C at 100 watts each, you can do that on this power station. And then you have some USB-A ports here. 3 are standard USB-As at 5 volts and 2.4 amps. And then you have a quick charge 3.0 here at the bottom. And so if you have a quick charge 3.0 USB-A device, you can use that, and I believe that's up to 18 watts. Let's go ahead and turn it on here. Just press the button. The screen here is not super bright. It looks pretty bright in the camera, but it's if you're looking at it off angle, if you're not looking at it straight, it looks a little bit dimmer. So you do have to look at it at kind of eye level to get the maximum brightness. But basically, you can see the different sections on Type C. You can turn on the DC here, the little indicator here says DC is on. You press AC, then the AC will turn on and the fan will turn on. Let's see if you can hear the fan turn on when I turn the section on. So the fan does come on full blast momentarily, and then it turns off until, I guess, until you use draw the power out of this. The fan won't turn on, but when it's at full speed, you can definitely hear it. You can see here I'm at 81% capacity, and at this current 5 watts of power draw, it's going to last 99 hours. Okay, so I'm going to go right into the hairdryer test here. This is a 1500 watt rated hairdryer. So we'll see how the inverter is able to handle the power draw. And if you haven't seen the previous reviews on other power stations, basically there's 3 fan levels and 3 heat levels on here. And each time I increase one of those levels, the amount of watts you'll see here on the display will go up. So let's go ahead and turn this on. Now you're going to hear the fan on the inverter come on at some point here, and then you'll obviously hear the fan, the hairdryer going. So it might be pretty noisy here. So just check, just a little bit of warning here. You might want to lower your volume on your computer. Let's go ahead and start the test. So this is no heat on. Level 1 for the fan, 65 watts. Level 2 on the fan. Level 3 on the fan. All right, go back to level 1 on the fan and heat level 1. And now the inverter fan is kicked on as well. It's level 2 on heat. And the inverter fan has turned off. Here's level 3 on the heat, and the inverter fan is kicked on again. Alright, so level 3 on the heat, about 1100. Okay, now we're at level 2 on the fan, level 3 on the heat, and level 3 on both. We're pulling almost a solid 1500 watts here. Pretty much exactly what the hairdryer is rated to. Okay, so I think that's a pretty successful test here. You know, that's what the main thing I wanted to test is the inverter. The other things here I've already tested, and they all work just fine. This is not a major power draw. This is the AC inverter is the biggest power draw. And you can see here that the screen turns off. It goes dim, and you have to press the button to bring the brightness back up. So I think it times out after about 15 seconds or so. It's a little bit annoying. Wish you could adjust that, but for this video, it's, you know, it only matters for this video. But you know, obviously you can still see it even when it's a bit dim, but you have to look at the screen straight on. But yeah, obviously the BMS on here has got all your standard protections, overdrop protection, overcurrent protection. It's got low temperature protection, etc. So, it's like many other power stations out there. It's got all the same safety features to make sure that the battery in here is protected, because you don't want to over discharge this thing, especially lithium iron phosphate. If you happen to do that, which this BMS won't allow, the batteries are basically useless at that point. But that's why you have a BMS in here to do that, to handle all that stuff, to protect the batteries so they remain usable for the lifetime of this power station, which is going to be probably several years. Anyway, as I mentioned, the $600 coupons are currently active as of the time of this video. I don't know how long those are going to be available, so you typically what happens is, if the vendor sees that a number of people have used that coupon, then they either reduce the value of the coupon or they remove it completely. So if you're on the fence about this one, seems to be pretty good. Jump on it. It's a pretty good value at this price point for the capacity and the inverter and all the other features on this one. It's nothing. It doesn't look super fancy or anything like that on the outside, but this is just basically for power, and it does that function perfectly fine. If you want to check out some of the other reviews on other power stations, I'll link the playlist down in the video description, along with the link to the power station and also the solar panels. Check those out. That's going to do it for this video, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.